I'm Darlene Hansen, and I am a member of the Disability Voices United team, the empowerment team. And we put on and sponsor the Communication Access Connect once a month. And I kind of lead that group, but I also have with me today one more member of our team. Before I do that, I'm just going to, because I always forget, I'm going to do my visuals. I am a senior woman here with shoulder length gray hair, red glasses, and I am talking to you from my home. Oh, and I should get my Disability Voices United background up, which I will do while I let William introduce himself. Go for it, William.
Hello, my name is William Del Rosario, and I am a Hispanic Filipino male in my 20s with short black hair, brown eyes, and I wear glasses. I'm an intern with DVU and a multimodal communicator who uses augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC, via typing and my iPad. Thank you for making the time to be here.
Thanks, William. Good to see you. Okay. Today we're going to be talking about travel. It's getting to be that summertime. I personally just returned from, literally just returned last night from my vacation, and was gone for 2 weeks and haven't done that in a long, long time. But it was very fun. But now I'm getting reset here. So this is why I'm a little disoriented and why I don't have my DVU up, because for some reason my computer has changed lots of its settings. And so I'm not going to bother dealing with that. But we do have two speakers today who are going to speak on tips for travel and just examples of how to prepare for traveling, and what kind of things to expect or look out for to make your travels more fun and pleasurable and successful. So I'm pleased, William and I are pleased to have two guest speakers. Our first speaker is going to be Kathleen Barajas, and she is a self-advocate for disability rights, and she speaks a lot on travel. So I'm going to let Kathleen take it from here and go for it. Kathleen, tell us a little bit about your domestic and your personal travel tips.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kathleen Barajas, President and founder of Project Hair, and an extremely proud participant of Disability Voices United. I am so honored to be with you today and share my experiences of travel with you. Darlene asked us to start by sharing a travel story with you, and while I have many, the one that came to mind is one of the first times I traveled on my own. I was to meet two friends in the Berkeley area to attend an event, and then go on to Sacramento to attend Disability Capital Action Day. I arranged support for my needs in advance, which was a caregiver friend who would come to the hotel each morning to help me get ready for the day. I will definitely admit that I was a bit nervous about this trip, but I knew I could do it. If I recall correctly, this was my first multi-day trip on my own. Any prior ones had been just overnight. My flight to Oakland went smooth, it was uneventful. When I landed in Oakland, thoughts when my luck changed, unfortunately, at least for a little while. The airport personnel seemed to be taking extra long to bring my power wheelchair to me, but I thought nothing of it. Finally, someone came on board and informed me that there had been an issue with my chair, and they would take me in an airport wheelchair to show me and discuss what happened. Of course, my heart dropped hearing this, scolding myself for trying to do this trip on my own. My flight was on Delta, so several of their personnel were there to explain what had happened and how they intended to remedy the situation. The person in charge was very nice and quickly learned that I used my cell phone to type messages that she didn't understand. I was beside myself at first, seeing my chair in several pieces. Maybe I should have cried but didn't. Luckily, I knew how my chair could be disassembled and put back together, so I quickly instructed them on how to put my backrest on again. Actually, once the backrest was on, I could have been on my way. However, I was told that one of the batteries had fallen out when they were removing the chair from the belly of the plane and its case has got dented. It worked fine, however the main person insisted on getting me a new battery that very day. She bought me dinner and whatever else I wanted to eat and drink and stayed with me at least 3 hours until the new battery was brought over and installed. I was very grateful for how I was accommodated. After learning that I had planned to take the BAR train from the airport to my hotel, the main person insisted on getting me a shuttle to my hotel in lieu of everything I had experienced that day. What could have ruined my trip became a learning experience for me. On my way home at the Sacramento airport, I was surprised to be approached by a Delta executive. He had been informed of what had happened to my chair and wanted to assure me that he would personally take my chair to be loaded and all would be fine. He shared with me that his daughter also had a disability and uses a wheelchair, so he completely understood the significance of the situation. When I travel on my own, it is usually for business or to meet up with friends. I prefer staying in an own hotel. The one issue I almost always encounter is that the beds are too high and now impossible for me to get in if I don't have any assistance. Hotels cannot always lower the mattress. A few hotels can remove the box springs, but depending on the type of bed, it's not always possible even if it's an ADA room. You would think that ADA rooms have lower beds. Apparently that is not a requirement. As far as transportation at my destination, I always research trains and buses ahead of time, and actually write down what to take where and when. There are many cities that have paratransit services that you can use if you are a paratransit rider in your area. However, I have never used paratransit away from home, because I always find accessible public transportation options at my destination that are easy to use. When I'm home, I often use Uber and Lyft for same-day transportation. When I travel, though, even to major cities, I have not had much luck finding accessible Uber or Lyft vehicles. I'm always stunned to find that Uber and Lyft have not added wheelchair-accessible vehicles to their fleet. I'm sure I take some things like this for granted, living in such a large city like Los Angeles. I do get to utilize an accessible taxi in Sacramento when I'm there on business, but they are ridiculously expensive. Thankfully, my organization doesn't mind paying on my behalf. I will share with you that when I first got appointed to the Board of Disability Rights California, our first in-person meeting was to be in Fresno. Not only was it going to be an extra long flight there since there are no direct flights, my other concern was transportation to and from the airport and whatever other places we needed to be. I'm able to transfer in and out of the car, and I do have a lightweight power wheelchair. However, the car has to be low enough for me to get in and out of, especially due to my shortness and height. In the end, I ended up attending this meeting virtually, as there were too many factors that I could not take a chance on. As I mentioned before, in the past I only required a person care assistant if I was staying multiple days. For overnight trips, which many of mine were, I would simply wait to shower when I returned home. These days, especially with my sciatica, I prefer having with me in the room, even if it's just for safety. I usually take my sister or my personal assistant. Sometimes a friend will come meet me at my destination and stay overnight with me as well. For some business trips, the organization that I am traveling with will pay for my caregiving needs. I also have Regional Center who pays for my personal assistant needs. I do want to share with everyone that my own organization, Project Hair, created a pamphlet called A Guide for TSA Agents, Interacting with Travelers with Disabilities. This was designed to make going through the TSA screening process smoother. Before COVID hit, I would travel through airports at least a few times a year, most times on my own. I am a quite competent and independent person who is able to fly on my own, as long as the airport personnel understand that fact. Although airports are seeing more individuals with disabilities traveling on their own, In my experience, there is still quite a way to go before an individual such as myself can go through the TSA screening without incident. I believe I have been fortunate that more times than not, I have gone through my screening fairly easy. Unfortunately, the times which I experienced unwarranted difficulties are not easily forgotten, and so I felt a pamphlet regarding my negative experiences would be a helpful tool. Many times my speech and severity of disability distorts some individuals' perception of me. Enough TSA agents have repeatedly asked me where my caregiver is, refusing to believe that I am more than capable of traveling on my own. My travel concerns should be regarding my power wheelchair being given proper care when it is taken from me, or getting a hand to walk to my seat, and yet it is always the TSA screening that is utmost on my mind when my day of travel approaches. Our TSA pamphlet not only educates about travelers with speech impairments and/or more severe disabilities, it also addresses other issues such as the rule that travelers with disabilities are not required to remove their shoes and outerwear. It was difficult enough getting dressed the first time around. The pamphlet also stresses to agents that a traveler's carry-ons should not be taken from them and sent through the scanner until that individual has been assigned an agent and is now proceeding to be screened. I will add that LAX now has a TSA Cares program which allows you to call in to ask to be escorted through security. This definitely has its advantages for individuals as myself who get wrongfully categorized. Having an escort would rectify this, as the escort would accompany me until my screening was completed. While most of my colleagues on the LAX committee and I commend the airport for creating this program, we do not feel that it is meant for everyone with a disability. Many of us in the disability community know that we are more than capable of going through the security screening on our own. We do not need someone there essentially holding our hand and guiding us on our way. I have now used it twice and it does have its advantages. However, being a person who is proud of my independence, I still prefer handling things on my own. Our pamphlet is based both on my own travel experiences as a person with a more severe disability, but also on stories I hear from the disability community. For my own experiences with TSA screenings, I would give a 65% rating. Enough of my encounters with TSA agents at various airports have been uneventful or nearly so. Some have been difficult at first but improved when I got assigned an agent to do the physical screening, that is pat down. Sacramento Airport seems to be so educated regarding travelers with disabilities. I have traveled in and out of there many times for work, and I have never had any issues whatsoever. I would rate my experiences at LAX as average. Sometimes uneventful, but too often having to repeat over and over that yes, I am traveling alone. I believe my worst experience with TSA was either in San Jose or Oakland, where two of the agents actually laughed at me and mimicked my movements after seeing me upset due to the belittling way they were treating me. Without a doubt, the one thing I dread most when going through TSA screening is the agents asking me sometimes repeatedly if I am traveling alone. Although I feel that this question is not appropriate to ask, I might tolerate being asked once, with the TSA agent accepting my answer. The issue here is that agents ask the question repeatedly, as if the answer will change the second or third time. Some agents refuse to believe that individuals with disabilities, especially those with more severe disabilities, could ever be capable of traveling on their own. I have seen agents look utterly disgusted and angry that I am in fact traveling on my own. It is if from that point on through my entire trip, that the agent will need to care for me. Truly, I do not understand this attitude at all. The assistance that I require because I am on my own takes just a few minutes of an agent's time, and that is to take my carry-ons to run through the screening machine. I have found, however, that the severity of one's disability is not all that triggers this question. At least one colleague of mine who has a much less severe disability than I have and whose speech is not affected in any way tells me that she gets asked this question as well. I was stunned to say the least. My colleague displays no sign of a disability, other than her wheelchair. Why then is she being asked this ridiculous question? I will share that right before COVID, some of my family and I took a trip to Hawaii. I had my family prepared to take my carry-ons once we hit the screening area. They knew of my experiences with TSA, so they were more than willing to assist any way they could. To my surprise, the stay at LAX was one of the best I experienced. As we arrived at the screening area, a female agent quickly approached me and without asking me the dreaded "Are you traveling alone?" question, she took my carry-ons and began my screening process. I believe my sister-in-law even told the agent that they were with me and were willing to take my carry-ons through for me. The agent replied that she was more than happy to assist me. This agent was how every agent should be. Again, I feel that the main training objective for TSA agents as it relates to individuals with disabilities should be to understand that many in our community can and do travel on our own. Obviously, if an individual was able to get to and navigate through an airport, up the elevator, and to the screening area, they are more than capable of traveling on their own. Funny maybe, but very true. Thank you so much for letting me share with you today. I am always honored when I am asked by Disability Voices United to speak.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen. That was great. Just on a side note, I just traveled with my friend who has a disability, and we were grateful that they always asked us, "Are you traveling alone?" Because then I think she could acknowledge that that woman right there needs to be with me the whole time, so we didn't get separated.
Okay.
Because otherwise they were, just going on ahead, and I'm like, hey, but I get your point for sure. Mariana says, everything you shared during your presentation really resonated with me because I'm experienced it firsthand with my little sister. Traveling through any airport is already challenging, but LAX can be especially difficult. Often they don't have the proper equipment. My sister needs a standard wheelchair, not the narrow LAX transport chair. During one of our most stressful travel experiences, we struggled during check-in, but thankfully, after making it through, we were finally able to get the right wheelchair. Still, the process was overwhelming and highlights the needs for more accessible and compassionate support in our airports. So true. Jacora says, thanks, Kathleen. That was awesome. And Joanna is asking, Kathleen, do you know if an individual with a disability is allowed to use the old-fashioned walk-through metal detector instead of the machine where you have to stand in the shape of an X, where you do that? We had a difficulty last time at LAX when TSA insisted that my daughter with severe ASD with motor planning issues must use the X machine as she's over 13. The metal detector would have been an option and the pat down, but strangers touching her with sensory issues, anxiety is not an option. Looking for documentation to support our travels this summer. Could use TSA care, but don't really sign up for something so involved when this is such an easy solve. Do you know anything about that, Kathleen?
Not really, but if I could have the email address, I could connect with TSA at LAX.
Okay, great. So, and let's see, do I have your email address in our file? Let me look. We'll pull up your email address and put it in there. Can we do that? Put it in the chat and then she can email you and you can share what you have or no. Yeah. So I think what you're saying though, Joanna, is that because she's over 13, they said she has to stand in the machine, which again, doesn't make any sense. But you never know how much training the person is that's actually sitting there and working with you has, right? Okay, let's see what else we have here. William says, such great information and good points to plan for. Otto says, thanks for sharing your stories. Bella says, thank you for giving great insight on your experiences. Looks like more training is needed. Yeah, and it's I don't know, Kathleen, have you, when you talk to TSA, is training on special assistance programs, is that part of their onboarding of their staff and their orientation?
They say it is,
They do, okay,
but I'm not sure to let them.
okay, yeah, yeah. Um, oh, so Kathleen, okay, sorry, Lorna's asking that I revoice. So Kathleen just said that they say it is, but she's not sure to what extent. Um, yeah, I know that when I worked with Air Hollywood on the open airs for autism, whatever we called it, program, we had TSA people come in and do our trainings with us, our open houses, so that people could practice going through the process. And that allowed us to work on training some TSA agents as well as supporting individuals who needed to just practice getting comfortable with all the protocols and such.
But you know, I find it strange that in Sacramento, I will travel to them many, many times, and I've never had any issue at all.
So I've traveled through Sacramento many, many times and I've never had any issues at all.
They I'm not going to say I never have any issue at all.
I missed the first part of what you said. I'm sorry.
When I go to Sacramento,
Sorry.
like where I would never ever have an issue.
So when you travel through Sacramento, you've never had an issue
Like going to TSA.
through the TSA.
And,
Yeah. And Bella's saying that TSA always presumes she's a child.
oh, yes.
That's obviously why they're wondering why you're traveling alone, right? Because they're thinking you're a child. Um, you know what I thought was interesting too is when I was traveling this week, this was in where were we? We were in London. And if my friend stayed in her wheelchair, because she can walk with a cane, if she stayed in her wheelchair, she had to take she had to take her shoes off. But if she walked through, she kept her shoes on.
Oh,
Doesn't make any
really?
sense, right?
Um,
Was very strange. How they come up with these ideas, I don't know.
But even when they asked me, can we take your shoes off? I said, no, you can't because if you take them off, you're not going to be able to get them back on.
So even when they ask her to take her shoes off, she says she can't, because if they take them off, she's not gonna be able to get them back on, or they're not gonna be able to get them back on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my, things that you have to think of everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
William says maybe try, whoops, hang on, it popped again. One second. William says maybe try TSA pre-check. You pay a fee, but less crowded. I've learned to do the x-ray, but sometimes they use the detection one. Depends on the person and their training. And Joanna saying, William, the wand does not touch the body, correct? Right, it does not touch the body. And Jakara says they come up with some silly stuff. This is very true. She says my brother has a medical condition and now can bring his closed bottles of water. Yeah. Okay, good. Great. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have Bella pop on and then we'll continue this conversation.
Okay.
There she is. Isabella Santoyo is going to be speaking today. She's one of our another person that is our self-advocates and part of our self-advocate speakers bureau. And Bella is lucky and fortunate enough to travel the world. And so she's going to be talking about her experiences in international travel. And you can throw in domestic travel if you want to as well, Bella. So I will open up to you, Bella. Thanks for joining.
Hello everyone, I'm Bella, also known as the Sassy One. Thank you Darlene and DVUs, Communication Access Connect for this opportunity. And thank you to all who are tuning in today. I have the pleasure of speaking about one of my true loves. Really, truly, no exaggeration, it is traveling. I've visited over 11 countries so far, and next month I'm off to add 2 more countries to that count. This is a first for me, to share about something that brings me immense joy. But first a bit about me. I am a part-time college student and an active public speaking advocate both independently and with my 2 best friends with Mod Squad for Access. I currently live in a busy seaside community of Long Beach called Belmont Shore. I'm an autistic multimodal communicator with sensory and motor differences. Knowing me means you know I am passionate about creating waves of change for my community. Access and inclusion are 2 top priorities that really go hand in hand with traveling. Next slide. A gift can change a life, and that is how my love of international travel began. In 2016, my travel mentor and generous friend Graham gifted me 20 days in Europe. Crazy, I know, but it's true. He had a travel agent select the itinerary and hotels, and so began my adventure, first to London, his hometown, then Paris, Rome, Venice, Florence, and the island of Ischia. Not a moment of that glorious trip was wasted. All was new, exciting and mind-altering. From the food to the museums and the exhilarating daily exploration of the sights and sounds we encountered, I loved it all. Something that left me in awe was the art, both ancient and modern. My mind was blown day after day. From the Louvre in Paris to London's Tate Modern Museum and the National Gallery, I couldn't get enough. Paris was without a doubt the most magical and breathtaking country that captured my heart. Nothing compares to the art at the Louvre, the ornate architecture of the Palace of Versailles, and the corner cafes with views of the Eiffel Tower. I loved it so much that I told my parents to leave me in Paris, and suggested that the woman who prepared the hotel breakfast buffet could care for me. That trip ignited my passion for travel. If you have a passion, pursue it. Traveling is mine and it has changed my life. Next slide. Traveling is fit. And so began future international trips that have become a normal and freeing part of my life. Each trip became an opportunity to grow and learn what worked for me and what I needed in order to optimize my experience. I have to say my mom gets full credit for the prepping and packing of all my travel essentials, and Dad is the most thorough and thoughtful planner. Weeks before our trips, the preparation begins. Do we have the needed apparel for the climate we will be in? Colder and wetter weather takes more thoughtful planning, but it is never ignored. I always travel with my own backpack with everything I will need for a long flight. This includes my medication, which is never placed in a checked bag, a change of clothes with needed toiletries, my headphones, iPad and iPod with downloaded media for my entertainment. My sensory needs are never an afterthought. I'm asked for my input on what fidgets and tools I'd like to bring. I always have at least 3 to choose from during the trip. And just recently we added a lanyard that I wear with an Autos Mottos low-tech letterboard, and small fidgets to keep my sensory-seeking hands busy. That's unique to my needs, and I'm an advocate for sharing that sensory needs shouldn't be ignored. And did I mention snacks? Snacks are essential for long flights. I can't express how joyful a fresh tube of Pringles makes me. LOL. Next slide. I always have someone to support me when I travel. Without support, my praxis and communication needs are ignored. Communication is everything. I am normally a shy typer in public, but the more I travel, the more I build confidence in speaking my mind. I would not have a positive travel experience if I had to keep all my thoughts inside. I'm lucky that I always have communication support when I travel. My family has always prioritized this. As I am prone to overwhelm at times, good support is my most calming resource. When I am calm, I communicate better. The support I need for my daily needs is important too. Now that I am older, I am relying less on my parents for my personal care needs. When possible, my parents ask my Aunt Diana if she is interested in traveling with us, and she is always up for an adventure. She and I share a hotel room at no cost to her. We have a great time together. She is the best travel buddy because she knows me so well. I know I am blessed to have a family member who has invested in my communication access. Notice I've mentioned that communication is a priority and an investment. It is also my right. I need support to make it happen. Next slide. Traveling is filled with a lot of demands. Just in airports alone, there can be crowds of people, lots of waiting, walking to different gates with luggage, going up and down escalators. I felt it all, painful anxiety and triumphant success and many feelings in between. By facing my fears, I have grown accustomed to these experiences. It helps that someone is always watching my back and is there to help me if I need it. By growing my skills, I have a newfound awe of all things travel. Security screening is manageable if you ask for support beforehand. However, my parents and I decided to use the opportunity to practice this step. I've needed motor coaching and support, but now not as much. When I started traveling, my mom or dad would carry my boarding pass, but now it's on my phone, which I practice presenting myself when I board my flight. These are little steps that give me a sense of pride when I do them. Again, this is a personal preference that I want to grow these skills. It doesn't mean that everyone should feel or do the same. Respect the individual and their wishes when they travel. I also have the ability to ask for pre-boarding depending on what group I'm in. There are times it's not needed and other times that it's a must, especially for fully booked flights. Another thing that helps when I travel is that my family has TSA pre-check, clear and global entry. This saves a lot of time. I personally don't have a hard time sleeping in hotels or eating new foods, but if you do, you must have solutions for this. Traveling isn't for everyone, and that's okay. If you never try, you'll never know what an amazing opportunity it is. Next. When I travel, I know beforehand if I'll be exploring or relaxing, or a little of both. I know not to expect the comforts of home or the foods I'm used to. I know some days I'll be walking thousands of steps, riding in busy trains, or just waiting in long lines for something. It may test you a bit to compromise, but I find the challenge worth it. I try to keep a positive and open mindset because it allows me to enjoy the adventure of it all. Next slide. My communication has been something I've struggled with all my life, especially in public spaces. I'm actively working on this. One thing I do when traveling is proudly carry my letterboard with me at all times. Traveling doesn't change my need to communicate. In fact, it encourages it. I've communicated in many languages with the help of Google Translate. One memorable experience was sharing my journey to an auditorium full of Japanese students in Gifu, Japan. They saw me, understood me, and connected with me. It was a beautiful feeling. It's been my experience that augmentative alternative communication is universal, as it should be. Next slide, please. I think the worst thing you can do when you travel is not eat or have food available when needed. I'm not a happy person when I'm hungry. So my first tip is always make sure you have a full stomach or have a to-go meal with you when taking a long flight. I also like to nibble on something other than airplane pretzels or biscuits, so pack some favorite snacks to pull out every couple of hours. My next tip is to invest in good quality noise-canceling headphones. Mine were a gift from Otto, and I absolutely love them. To pass the time, I love to listen to music, audiobooks, and watch movies. I make sure to have a cable and adapter in case I can't connect wirelessly. That's super important. My next tip to save on cash is don't forget to travel with a water bottle that can be filled once you pass security. There are usually water filling stations, and the best part is it's free. Lastly, for my AAC user friends, travel with a low-tech system. It's lightweight, doesn't require charging, and easily replaceable if lost. I've left behind 2 iPads in my travels, and it's not worth it to carry them around in busy foreign places. Theft is a real issue. Next, please. Wrapping up, I'd like to share that I've gained a lot of life experiences from my travels, and it's made me fall in love with art and history. If you follow me on Insta, I'll post a reflection I wrote back in 2016 after that first glorious trip to Europe. Traveling has given me the opportunity to break away from the repetitiveness of mundane life. If you're willing to seek more out of life, I encourage you to try it. Start small and keep building upon your success and learning from your challenges. There's a wide, beautiful world to explore. See you out there. Thanks again, everyone.
Thanks, Bella. That was great. That was really great. You know what I noticed in this, I don't see this happening in the United States, of course, but when I went to 4 different countries, and every single, I'm not joking, every single food service person, no matter who you were, once you placed your order, they would say, "And do you have any dietary restrictions?" Every single time, with a smile on their face. So I thought, look how easy that is. They, every single time, you could have been ordering at the McDonald's and they're going to ask you, do you have any dietary restrictions? So that's kind of neat, especially since you were talking about food being such a big issue for you, Bella, and making sure that you had everything you needed and the way you need it to be. Good. Okay, so I'm opening this up to questions to Bella and Kathleen. William, I know you travel a bunch as well, so if you wanted to pop in there, that would be great. I wanted to ask you though, Kathleen, you talked a lot about doing your prep work and you're researching and, finding out about transportation and availability of people to be helping you out and such. Where do you go to find this information out? Is there a website? Do you just Google it? Did you get my question, Kathleen?
No.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So this goes back to when you were talking about how you prep and get yourself organized for your trip. And I was wondering, is there a website that you go to, or do you just Google these questions you have? How do you find out like different modes of transportation in different communities?
Yeah, I Google the public transportation to see what's available.
You Google transportation and then see what's available?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There's no special website that keeps track of all this information.
Maybe I use map.
Maybe I'm sorry, say that one again.
You use maps.
Maps.
Yeah, that has every mode of transportation.
Because that has every mode of transportation option.
Okay. True. Okay. So you use the maps and just regular Google. Has anybody ever, and maybe someone even in the audience, has anybody ever used AAA? And I'm wondering, because you can go to AAA and plan your whole trip. Anybody can. I wonder if they are used to assisting people with special assistance needs at AAA. Anybody tried that? I think we should find out. If they have, I mean, they might be another group that needs some training, huh? Okay, I see Williams typing, and then I see Jacora's with a hand up in a second. Bella says, yes, my needs can't be ignored. Think traveling encourages growth. In my experience, sometimes Apple and Google Maps doesn't work in other countries. Yeah, I'm trying to think what I used. I just used regular maps. I think Google Maps did work, but of course it's very possible. And Glennis said the famous trip tips from AAA. Otto says, yes, they are helpful, and American Airlines and Alaska Airlines have been helpful. Okay, great. I'm going to bring you in. Yakora, unmuting. Go for it.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. Yes, I travel a lot. And then, so last year, well, I think it was 2 years ago, my grandmother, she kind of have a cognitive disability right now, you know. And I put on for her trip, she was traveling by herself, and I put in special, they give you like these special accommodation, and they do accommodate people with cognitive disabilities as well. And so they were really, really nice to her. They addressed her. They had like things with her name. So the person who was pushing her wheelchair was very clear. They repeated who they were, and they did like certain things to ensure her that she was safe. And then they took her all the way to where she needed to go, all the way to like her pickup, her ride, and then they verified with the person who was picking her up to make sure that that was the right person. And you can put like the name of the person in the accommodations so they can identify them, their ID and stuff like that. So that was just, it felt really good that I was able to make those accommodations for her, because I felt like they were safe. And she reported back to me. She was like, these people were really, really, really nice. And they kept on asking me. And then they even verified with, my sister to make sure that that was her. And she didn't know I put those special accommodations in there for her. So I thought that was awesome.
Wow, that's great. And it's good to know that it worked, that the system that they put together worked out for you.
Yeah, and I think that was Delta Airlines.
Mm.
But it's good because I deal with a lot of individuals with intellectual disabilities that really don't understand sometimes what's going on, and just to know that I can set, accommodations up for them, and they will be safe. It was really good.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. William says, good to make friends with the locals. AAC is a great icebreaker, and we can usually get good suggestions for sightseeing and food. And Bella says, YouTube is great to prepare for a trip. And these are in the chat, by the way. Carrie Adamic wrote that there's a website, accessiblega.com. So that might be something to check out. Bella says, I love traveling with friends too. Oh, and Joanna's asking, where are you going next? The other cool thing while Bella's doing that, tell us where you're going next, Bella. Again, this week when we went out, we went to a concert, and I had forgotten that my friend had her cane with her, and somebody walked up to us and initiated, oh, let me direct you to the special assistance aisle. And I said, oh, how did you know we needed that? I forgot she had her cane with her. But I mean, they approached us, and this happened all the time. They would approach us to let us know where we needed to go to make things a little bit easier. And again, this was international travel. It was really amazing. William says, if you're comfortable sharing your disability, people are helpful. Bella's mom made us baseball caps that said, I have autism. Thank you in advance for your patience, in Spanish. That was a good idea. When we went to Mexico, people were kind, waited for us to type, and some of them also had family with disability like Kathleen experienced. Bella said she's next going to the Rhine River cruise from Amsterdam to Switzerland. Fun. That'll be good. Again, very accommodating there. So Ernest says, that's more than 2 countries added to her tally. That's right. You're racking up the countries, Bella. Okay, so let me see, what else did I have? Oh, I was going to ask Kathleen, can we get, or on your website, do you have your TSA pamphlet available for people? Just to show?
I will see it on my website.
You don't keep it on your website, okay.
But I could send it to you.
Okay, yeah, that would be great to have, I think. I mean, it's for them to know, but it's a good idea too, I think. If we, as the travelers, know what they've been instructed on, again, you're instructing LAX, but what in general people are being instructed on, then we can maybe clue them into, no, we're doing this right now, and use the words that they're familiar with or something.
But I hope that they're taking my pamphlet into account. And I never got that confirmed.
Okay, wait. Okay, so you hope that they take the pamphlet.
Yeah, she said she hopes that they take her pamphlet into account.
LAX.
That LAX takes her pamphlet into account, because she never got that confirmed. She never got, I guess, feedback back that they were.
Well, maybe if we keep telling them that it was in the pamphlet, they might go back. That is. Yeah. Veronica says, hi, I'm new in the group. Anna, I have a daughter that is starting to use AAC device. I want to ask if you know about a good company to teach how to use the AAC device. That's one's to you, Anna. Bella's mom. I think that's who she's talking to. Maybe Bella's mom's not with Bella.
Or maybe she meant and. I don't know.
I don't know. But do you know any good, like, okay, so I guess it depends on what device you're using and what your needs are. So, you know, if it's communication partner training, or if it's you're trying to use Proloquo to Go, or if you're trying to use something from Tobii Dynavox, all of that matters. And then of course where you live also is another thing to consider. Maybe if you give more information, Veronica, we could help you out with that a little bit. Or if you want to, you can come on and chat with us real quick. Oh, here she comes. Okay, great. All right, Veronica, tell us what you mean.
Hi. Yeah, my but I would like to see if like a company that could like or somebody that can help learn better, because I know the school and the speech sometimes just teach the basic, but for communication, I live in San Diego area, so it's I don't know what if you have like any company that can help us for her to learn better basic and also us, our family.
Okay. I mean, I professionally, I should probably give you 3 recommendations, but I have a company that does that. So, but I'm trying to think who else is down in San Diego that does trainings. I'm sure if anybody, Alvar, you might know somebody down there in San Diego. Do you have Kaiser? Because I know Alvar's used Kaiser in the past. You have Kaiser? So if you have Kaiser, you could ask them to get you some support and get the ball rolling in that way. I know up here I give support to Kaiser patients, and I know that Alvar has used Kaiser in the past. Yep, and I'm available as well. So yeah, there are ways to get help. You can email me too if you needed to get more information. I'll just put it's Darlene at ebuunited.org. Thanks, Joanna. Let's see what else we got here. Cecilia says, good afternoon. In my opinion, it helped me to let the airline know that I was traveling with a disabled person. They helped me a lot from the moment I boarded the flight and arrived. We received attention that met my needs, and we also didn't have to wait in line. It was very helpful to let them know about the accommodations in advance. So true, Cecilia. Usually when you're purchasing a ticket, at the end, it will say, do you have any special accommodations? Write it down in that box, and then know that you're going to keep talking about it over and over again. Otto says, and Otto does a lot of traveling. I noticed how patient people are in other countries as they wait for me to type a message in response to a question. I think because they are used to people who are not fluent in the country's language. I saw that in Italy and in Mexico. I think they're just nice. Then Otto gave a plug for my business. Thank you, Otto. Bella says, yes, many kind people to meet on my travels. One in particular was Donavel from Oaxaca. She was featured on Netflix cooking show. Incredibly inspiring woman. Oh, wow. Excellent. And then, oh, thanks for Kindred. Okay, thanks you guys. This is not a Kindred moment, but thank you. Okay, let me see what else I had. So I wanted the pamphlet. I loved Kathleen's idea. And Bella, you talked about how your Aunt Diane goes and travels as your travel companion. And I think it's really cool that Kathleen, that you got creative. And have found people in the community that you're going to, that you know, that can possibly step in and help you out for the certain time slots. I think that's a great idea. It's brilliant. You're muted. If you were saying something.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
One time I think it got without a caregiver. So I called my friend and she has a couple of caregivers. So she sent one of her caregivers to help me in the morning.
Yeah. So Kathleen's saying that she had a friend who had a couple of caregivers, and she was able to get someone from that pool of people, I guess, right? To
Yeah.
step in and help you with some time in the morning that you needed some assistance.
Because the caregiver that I had originally booked, I think she got the date wrong, so she never came.
So the
So,
caregiver you have,
yeah, the original care, so on her trip, she had arranged for a caregiver, but she said she thinks the caregiver may have gotten the wrong date because she never showed up.
oh,
She had to quickly pivot and figure out, well, now what? And so then she thought, well, I have a friend who has multiple caregivers. Let me see if I can ask them to come help me in the morning.
Yeah.
And so they did.
oh, yeah, that would be stressful.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Oh man, yeah. Bella, have you ever had a stressful experience, or even William? Anything been stressful for you? Bella says, and you're talking in Spanish, so you guys, someone has to read that in English for me. May like this.
She's responding to the previous Shirley's grouper.
Oh, okay. And what did Shirley say, Anna? Do you know?
She says that she advises or calls ahead for the airline and notifies them of her son's condition and see
Okay.
differences. Also, they've done cruises and they've been very accommodating to her son. They've done carnival cruises and it's very inclusive, and her son really enjoys that a lot.
Oh,
And responded that she's really happy to hear that her son enjoys traveling.
very good. Thank you.
Okay, so
I don't know who this Donna Vale is. Is this like a popular person? You guys keep talking about Donna Vale.
she's kind of famous. Yeah. I think Darlene asked about a stressful. Did you ask for?
Yes. Have you ever had a stressful situation, Bella? I know you have people with you all the time, but I know you can feel stress. Or William, have you ever had a stressful situation? Otto says, good for you, Kathleen, and I'm glad you had a backup plan.
Yeah, sometimes on escalators.
Ah, the escalators.
Yeah.
The escalators in Europe go so fast. They were like speeding. They were hard for me. Okay, so someone posted who Donna Vale is, the Ernest did. Humans of Kitchen. I'm gonna look it up. Kathleen says, hi, Otto. It was so fun to run into you. It was great to run into you at the Abilities Expo. And Otto says, yes, when there are mechanical problems with the plane and stuck on a tarmac, that is a lot for me. Oh, that's a good point too. When the flight doesn't take off as you anticipated it was going to. And you can't breathe because it's too hot in the airplane. Bella says, yes, that sucks. William says, we had a 40-minute flight that was delayed 5 hours. We were on the Parmac forever before they deplaned. Yikes. Luckily, I had my food and medicine. Another reason to make sure you carry your stuff with you, right? In your bags. Wow, that would be tough. Okay, Shirley.
Muchas gracias, señora Darle. Yo sí quiero compartir algo. A mí me pasó una experiencia una sola vez de Colombia viajando para acá. El avión iba a despegar y hubo algo que el piloto no nos querían decir. Estuvimos esperando casi más de 40 minutos y nos ayudó que siempre yo le tengo un bolso de cosas sensoriales a mi hijo. Solamente lo uso cuando vamos a viajar y tenía cuantos juguetes sensoriales, rompecabezas, plastilina, muchas cosas y eso lo mantuvo tranquilo. Hubo mucho calor, el niño se quedó casi desnudo porque no podíamos despegar hasta que nos dieran el go. Y me ayudó también el tener sus aguas, sus snacks, porque esas cosas imprevistas puede ocurrir. Y es incómodo cargar tantos bolsos, pero mi esposo dijo, ahora cada vez que nos vamos de viaje, ¿dónde están los bolsos? Porque ayuda mucho.
Yeah. I could just imagine. And they don't ever tell you. They always make it like it's not going to be a big deal, right? Oh, they're checking it out. It'll be right back to us in just a minute. And sometimes it's hours, like you say, William. Mariana.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and I apologize for not having my camera on. I did the rally today in Bakersfield and it got a little hot, so I guess I got a little dehydrated over here. So I'm in bed, but I survived.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think that that's extremely important. My sister has cerebral palsy, and so her knowledge of comprehension is very limited. However, I just wanted to recommend that social stories is very important for the young individuals or even for the adults, just kind of preparing them ahead of time, creating that visual and priming them at least 2 months in advance. I always say to people, the more that you prime, the better, because then the individual is able to understand what's going to happen. But like Shirley said, that you never know what's going to happen. So always have like a plan B. Definitely the sensory activities, I think it's extremely important to have. And I just feel that just preparing our loved ones. I had a pretty bad experience with my little sister at LAX. We almost got kicked out of the plane. However, I was very patient and very mindful and just kind of kept myself calm. And we were successful. However, because of her disability and she spits and she, waves her hands around, it's very uncomfortable how people really look at you. But I'm hoping that in the future we can have airports that have accessibility for us to be able just to speed ahead from that process that they have.
Yeah. Hey, you reminded me that in iBooks and the Apple platform in the iBooks, and so I just looked it up to make sure it's still there, and it is. We created a social story. It's kind of long, but it's about flying. And it's under Open Sky for Autism. So it's okay, here I'll put this flying social story. Okay. It's in your iBooks. Okay. And it's called Open Sky for Autism. And there's two books because there was a lot. And so there are two social stories that you could download and use. I can't believe they're still there, but they are. So that's a good thing. So that might be, you reminded me of that when you said a social story. Let's see what else.
doing I wanted to tell everybody that the airlines they let you take more than two carry-ons as long as the items relate to your disability.
Okay, I'm gonna have your person, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Your voice.
Darlene.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, she said she wanted to just make everyone aware that you are allowed more than, you know, the standard carry-on items. As long, yeah, 2 items, as long as the additional, you know, bags are related to your, or like, are related to your disability or related to a disability.
Oh, wow, okay.
But you could take more than two carry-ons.
Yeah, so you can take more than 2 carry-ons, provided the items are related to your disability.
Perfect. That's good to know.
And Doreen, I wanted to tell you, my sister who's removing me, her name is Doreen.
Yeah, she said she wanted to let you know that the person who is revoicing for her is her sister, which is me. and her name is Darlene, which is me.
I kind of caught that, and I thought that person's name is Darlene.
Yeah.
There's not very many of us around. Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Nice. Let's see. William says, oh, here's a good one. William travels with gummy bears and applesauce and beef jerky, and they got flagged at TSA. They had to make sure they weren't edibles. The worker didn't know what applesauce was and was taking some meat byproducts into another country, needs to be on their approved list. Oh, okay.
Sorry,
Even
got messed up on the input. Yeah. Yeah, we were taking meat and beef into another country. So customs, and actually we just saw a news story this morning that some meat products and some fruits and vegetables are being prohibited. So just be careful if you need to travel with that. William has certain foods he has to eat, but we saw that on the news this morning.
Yes, they were saying that on the on our flights. They were saying they were listing fruits and vegetables, and I thought that's kind of weird. To take even to other countries or other spots. We're used to things not being able to come into California because of the agriculture, but it was in all these different places. So it seemed people are hyper vigilant. But is beef jerky still considered beef?
Yeah, it's
By
because
the
it's
time you get to the jerky
because
part,
of the, I don't know, what is it, mad cow or bovine or
Yeah.
one of those things or something.
Yeah, mad cow.
And we had a package from Costco, which was the big bulk size, because we were going for like 3 weeks, and William, if he doesn't have proteins, he's prone to some medical issues. So when they scanned the barcode of the outside of the Costco package, it wasn't coming up on their app. But when she finally figured out, she had to open it and take one from the individual package, and then she found it right away that it was an authorized brand.
Okay.
But there's just little things. Yeah, it was a fluke, but necessary for him to have that food with them. Yeah.
But so I would imagine that from all your stories, leaving a lot of extra time is probably important to getting in through the airport, right? Because having them figure out how to scan your beef jerky could take some time and cause you to miss a flight. Oh, Bella has a good example. Maybe taking short flights to practice if your person's needs to get used to flying. And Long Beach Airport is perfect for that. Some airlines and some, I think Burbank might offer some opportunities. Otto says, good for you, Mariana, for being an advocate. We all deserve the right to try to travel. Yes. Joanna says, good to know, Kathleen. Good to know. Carrie says, one time my bag with my meds and footrest was left at Long Beach Airport at check-in. Lucky Utah has a Walgreens pharmacy. Yikes. Alvar says, not sure of out-of-pocket costs. I think, yeah, he's talking about the AAC for, who was asking about that? That might have been Joanna. Not sure about the out-of-pocket cost. They currently take San Diego Regional Center Early Start, San Diego Regional Center SDP, and TRICARE. But I had a great experience with North Star Speech and Language Company and Speech and Language Communication Incorporated in San Diego a few years back. And I've sent a couple people there more recently who said they were helpful. And then he gave you the website for down there in San Diego. Oh, Veronica. Okay. Thanks, Elvar. Perfect. Let's see. William says, yes, Dad makes us get there early. Sometimes we sit and wait. Sometimes it's needed. Better to sit and wait than miss your flight, right? Otto says, how about Mariana? Good for you. Oh, how about Michelle Hardy? She helped me together with Darlene. Yeah, but I don't know that she would help with getting the AAC system set up. If it's a device thing. Again, depends on what the need is. But Michelle Hardy down in San Diego is very good. Otto says, good for you, Mariana, for being an advocate. We all deserve the right to travel. And she says, I love to travel too. I was in Rome and Japan this past year. Great. All right. I never thought about the bed height issue that you mentioned, Kathleen. But I have thought about the height of bathtubs in certain hotels that are way too hard to get into for anybody. I don't know how people would do that.
I'm 4'10", so I'm
Yeah, she's 4'10", so she's pretty short.
I was stressed out. I'm 5'2". I was. William saying that perhaps we don't know if Susan Berkowitz still works or not. She might be retired. But she's down in San Diego as well. I don't know. I haven't heard her name in a while, William. I'm not sure. Or Michelle. I guess Michelle said that. Great. Okay, in our last few minutes here, do any of you have anything extra? Otto, if you want to say anything extra, you can come on camera. I don't know why you're hiding out back there. Bella says, love this discussion. Let's connect again to share more new travel experiences. Yeah, keep those travel tips going, you guys. Does anybody have a great vacation that they're excited to go on, planned? If you don't subscribe to our newsletter, please do so. Anybody got any good vacations this summer? Or fall? Alvar says, I book accessible rooms, but they aren't always actually accessible, unfortunately. So that's for sure a thing as a wheelchair user. Yeah. Shirley says they're going on a July vacation. Max says trains can be a way of traveling with a wheelchair if you're worried about airlines breaking it. Okay, that's an idea. And Yakora says, I'm going to the British Isles. Ooh, that's exciting. And Joanna says, you can follow Amelia's travels on Instagram, travel like Lumi. But you can see it there. That's her handle, her Instagram name. Let's see. Otto says, I'm going to Miami next week. Joanna says, we're going to Finland and all over Scandinavia this summer. Awesome. Alvar says, in addition to letterboard, I travel with a custom-made set of communication cards that addresses common travel questions and topics. That's great idea. AAC info, about me, airline, emergency contacts, food and drink, sensory needs, wheelchair needs, etc. The cards are laminated and on a lanyard. Neuro-inclusivity on Etsy made them, and I would recommend them. So that's an Etsy site called Neuro-inclusivity. I recommend communication cards in addition to a letterboard. Those are really good ideas, Alvar. I guess he's saying that Miami's hot. Yakura says that was nice and informative. William says Atlanta in the fall. Sometimes we check the Facebook groups to see if there are other AAC users to meet up with nearby. Oh, that's fun. So when he travels, he looks to see if there's anybody in that neighborhood that he's going to meet new people. That's a good idea. Excellent. All right. Well, next month, and you can keep writing in the chat if you want here, you guys. But next month is our June Communication Access Connect, and we're gonna have an open forum. So we'll do like social stuff again. I'll see if I can get not Lindsay, Michaela to chime in and get some good games going for us. She was good at that last time. But we're gonna do open forum next in June. And again, if you please follow DVU, like we heard this just a little bit ago, there's still rallies going on for advocating for Medicaid needs. Oh, there's something going on tomorrow in Anaheim. Thank you, Shirley. So be sure and be active and make sure your voice is heard in this conversation about Medicaid. Thank you, Bella. Thank you, Kathleen. As always, thank you, William. Here's the Fight for Your Health link. Oh, Gilda, come on in. Hi, Gilda.
Hi, everyone. It's so good.
Oops. What? I'm not hearing. Are we hearing Gilda? I'm not hearing Gilda.
I don't hear her either.
Oh, there you go. Oh, no. Don't hear you, Gilda. Nope. If you go to Carrie, if you go to this up above where they put in the Fight for Your Health, Rest in Peace, California Healthcare, that's going to give you information, I believe, won't it, Eric? About where the events are? Yes, okay, great. Still not hearing you, Gilda. I don't know why. Did you choose a language? Nope. 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 So weird. When you got on, we heard you. Like for 2 seconds. Do you want to go out and go in again? Try that. We'll keep chatting for a second here. Shirley put the address to the event in Anaheim. If anybody can make it out there. And we're gonna wait. Gilda had something she wanted to share with us. Is that the same Sycamore Park is the address, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
You can. Okay. We're doing this last push because on Thursday we're hearing that on Thursday, the House is supposed to vote on the budget again. So there's a lot of back and forth. It goes through different committees and now it's going to go back to the House. We're hearing that today at 1 a.m. it's going to go through a committee at 1 a.m. I think Eastern time, because they don't want the public to hear that it's happening and they don't want media attention on this. After that committee, it's supposed to be going to the House, and we're hearing that it's going to be on Thursday, that it's supposed to be going through the House. And so this event that we're having on Wednesday, tomorrow, is an important one. And we really want people to come out and join us. It's going to be with Fight for Our Health. And it's going to be a representation of the people that will lose their lives if this goes through. And so we're making it an impactful one, and we're dressing in black. It's going to be kind of like a funeral. It's a funeral procession. We are needing people to help with carrying the casket. So we're going to have caskets, and they're going to be carrying them from not a long distance, a short distance. We do need help, and so if anybody's interested in helping carrying the being a pallbearer, please contact me. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. And so we'll be there. It starts at 10 a.m. It's going to be taking place at Sycamore Park in Anaheim. And it's about a 17-minute walk from Sycamore Park to Congresswoman Young Kim's office. But because we're going to be going slow and we're going to have a hearse with us, it's going to take about 45 minutes to walk. If you have a disability and you want to meet us where the casket is going to be, you can meet us in front of Congresswoman Young Kim's office, and we'll be leading up into that to that space. So I hope if you can join us if you live close by. Today I heard Mariana say that she was at the Bakersfield the Valadeo one. I would love to hear how that one went. If you're still here, Mariana, I see Mariana's name here. Found it. I would love to hear how that one went. This one we were wanting to make it a large amount of people to show up. And Mariana, I don't know if Mariana can share how it went today.
Yeah, come in, Mariana.
Hi, everyone. And like I said, I apologize. I'm in bed just with ice in my head. It was an amazing experience. It wasn't like it was the last time, because I know we had a lot of people, more people last time. However, we had a young group of community of young men who were able to carry those caskets. We started off in a location and we walked probably, I'm going to say, about 15 minutes. And then they picked up the caskets. And then when they picked up the caskets, we were able to go to the location where the other families were there who weren't able to walk. I strongly suggest to hydrate. The weather right now, it's really hot. Just drink lots of water, take some Aleve, some snacks before you get there. Pretty much they had set up some tables with Dolores Huerta, who is, a big advocate here in the Bakersfield area. So they had her there again, participating as well. They had about 5 speakers who were able to share their experience. And, it was small, but it was well organized. For most of you guys probably know, I started the ICC Instagram page, so I did post a couple of things on there. So if you guys are able to go on our Instagram page, I'll be sharing that with the community. And yes, I mean, like I said, Bakersfield is a hot area, so I give a lot of credit and respect for all the elderlies. There were more, I would say the public was more older people. Some kids, but for the most part, like I said, it was small, but it was straight to the point. It was 2 hours and everybody just did what they had to do. So the presentation, I think, was an outstanding job.
Yeah, we want the disability community to show up at these events. It's Fight for Our Health. So it's a large coalition of organizations from healthcare providers, a lot of unions as well. But what we're doing at Disability Voices United is making sure that the disability voices is front and center. And so we are having guest speakers at all of the events to represent the disability community. And it's looking at the flyer here, and we'll be meeting at Sycamore Park and then walking, it's 0.8 miles to Congresswoman Kim's office. And then like Mariana mentioned, we're gonna have guest speakers. I think we're gonna have about the same, about 4 or 5. And so yeah, I hope you guys can make it. Let me know if you have any questions.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that, Gilda. Do you know how long it would be? Well, about 2 hours?
About 2 hours. Mhm.
Okay, and Veronica had something she wanted to add real quick.
Do you have this information on the DBU Facebook page so we can share it?
We do. Judy posted it, I believe, yesterday or the day before. And so she put up the
Okay.
flyers and the link to register. So I don't know if Kaylee, if you have the link or if you put it in. Oh, you did. Okay, RSVP.
Thank you.
And I will also post the link. I think there's a different link as well that we've been sharing out. So let me pull it up. I know we're almost out of time.
Great, thank you. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming today, and I hope that people get to do fun things this summer, whether it be traveling or picnicking or hanging out with friends or just being in air conditioning. But thank you all, and I want to thank our interpreters too real quick, and Eric and Haley, Kylie, thank you.